I'm trying to respond to you. I see Joan asking, is Athena going to be here soon? And I'm like, I'm here, Joan, I'm here. Woo! I'm so happy to see you guys. Hi, hi, hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome to session 3 of Soul Shift for August. I'm so excited to be with you for this part of our journey. Are you ready? I see you. What a powerhouse session we had for readings today. We had 2 hours of live readings today. Some of you were there, some of you missed it, which is okay. If you feel called, you can always go back and watch it. There was a lot of good wisdom that came through. I was a little worried after 2 hours of readings, knowing that we had, probably 90 minutes of a journey this evening, but I've got plenty of energy, so I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling great. Readings were fun today, so thank you all who were there. Happy new moon. Hopefully you enjoyed last night's new moon ceremony too. I'm still kind of riding the wave of that. I actually really like to teach after there's a big, moon ceremony or a big high holiday, because there's just so much energy flowing and it just feels really good. So hopefully you're feeling that too. Thank you. I feel really good. Well, if you missed the readings, the nice thing is that they're recorded, so you can always go back and watch it later. Last night was really special. Today's going to be special too. We were supposed to be doing, just so you know, we were supposed to be doing the Aztec healing ceremony today along with the journey with our sacred Aztec goddess tonight. But because the tools are not here yet, we're going to journey tonight and we're going to do the Aztec healing ceremony next week. In addition to crafting the bracelet. So by next week, everybody will have your tools. And so I'm going to take you through the Copal ceremony, and that is a ceremony. You're getting 3 different types of Copal in your kit. So I'm going to walk you through each one of those types and introduce you to the nuanced differences between them. I'm going to burn just a little Copal resin in the form of an incense stick because I want the energy of it. So if you already have your Copal or if you have an incense stick, you can burn it just to kind of get you present to that energy. I'm really excited because we finally found a source in Mexico for these Copal resin sticks. These are all handmade in Mexico, but I couldn't find a good source, which is why we've been out of them forever, but I finally found a good source. So I'm going to start here tonight. Copal is sacred to the entire Mesoamerican civilization. And if you got the Coatlicue perfume, which is right here, this has copaiba in it, which is distilled from Copal. So in a way, even if you don't have your tools, if you have the Coatlicue embodiment perfume, then you have a little bit of the energy of what's happening this month. I'm so happy that you're here. So yeah, so if you have a Copal stick, if you haven't gotten your tools yet, you can light that just to kind of start to get it's amazing how that transforms the space, isn't it? And wait till you start burning Copal resin if you haven't already. That is transformational. My Copal is my favorite resin, and it's the kids' favorite too. And it's funny because I always burn Copal in the house, especially if I'm going to be doing ceremony or when I do ayahuasca. And so every time my shaman comes for a ceremony, because we do ceremony here at my house, the last time he came, I wasn't burning it, and he walked in and he was like, "You're not burning Copal?" And I'm like, well, I can. I usually do. It's just funny how people get used to it, right? They're beautiful. What's cool about these sticks, I don't know if you know much about these sticks, but the reason I love them so much is they're hand dipped, and they're dipped about a dozen times, right? So what they do is they melt the Copal resin, and then they dip the stick and dry it, and then they melt it and they dip the stick and dry it, and they melt it and they dip the stick and dry it, and it's about a dozen times, and that's why the scent is so extraordinary. It's so strong. So Brittany, I'm sending you some Copal energy through the screen tonight. Hopefully you can smell it. It smells like church. I grew up Greek Orthodox and Catholic, so if you've been in church where they're burning the resins, then this probably will remind you of that. Isn't it beautiful? So I want to begin by helping you start to drop into a deeper state of awareness and consciousness in this moment. What we're talking about tonight is pretty heavy duty. Are you ready? And I don't think there are any accidents. Tonight is probably the most purifying and cleansing and healing and releasing ceremony that we will have done this year. And we're doing it in the new moon window. The new moon window closes at the end of class tonight, 7:40 p.m. Pacific time. Will be 24 hours after the moon has been at her darkest point this month. So I've learned to trust the process with everything, honestly, in my life, but especially when it comes to ceremony, because I think the whole process has been guided. I really, really do. Every aspect of it, but especially tonight. That's right, there are only happy mistakes. So I'm happy that you're here. And like I said, if you got your tools for this month, did you see what's coming for next month? I don't know if you saw. We haven't talked about this. Did you guys? If you got your tools for September, there's a wandlet in there. You know the little wandlets that I have in the online gem sales. You have a wandlet with the Angela Foe symbols, custom made in there. The wandlets. Do you want me to go get it and show it to you? At the end, if there's time, I'll go get it and show it to you. The wandlets are usually like $300 in the gem sale, and that's not the only thing you're getting next month. So if you got your tools for September, you are going to be so excited. I don't even know how we did that. Yeah, so if you don't get the tools, it's kind of fun to see, what they are. And but this month's tools are going to introduce you to Copal. I also think this month's tools, when you get them, which like I said, they have all shipped. So by the time we gather to do your Aztec ceremony, you'll have them. This is the candle for this month that's coming to you, and it's also been made with Copal. This is my favorite candle that we have ever done for Soul Shift. Isn't it beautiful? It looks like something that would be, it looks very Aztec to me. We looked at a couple of different candle holder designs because we custom ordered these, and I was like, this is the one that needs to be. So I'm going to light my candle. If you have your tools, which some of you do, you can go ahead and light your candle too. Otherwise, this will come to you and your whole house will smell like Copal. And then you're getting 3 little jars of Copal resin. You're getting the most incredible black ceremonial bowl that we're going to use in our healing ceremony. It's rimmed in gold. And then, of course, you're getting your obsidian wand, which we'll be using in that ceremony too. So I have lit my candle. I've already been burning that candle in service of full disclosure. I love it so much. I've got some ash on my carpet, which is okay. I'm just kind of mushing it in. So one time around for you, one more time, just to kind of set the space, call your energy into present time. So tonight I'm going to spend the first part of our session together teaching you about this incredible goddess that we are celebrating tonight, honoring tonight. She's not one that you hear much about, but I think she deserves a lot of recognition and celebration because she is powerful. And so session 3 of our month's work for August has begun. So if you did order your Côte Lacquée perfume, you should have it. We tried to ship those out really quickly. So we're going to anoint with that in just a few minutes too. Because we are doing a big ceremony tonight, I am going to go through all of the layers and levels of protocol. So you're welcome to smudge right alongside me, or you can let me do it all for you. When we do ceremony, I do everything for you. I open the container, I close the container, I smudge, I clear the energy, I hold it, I do everything. So you don't technically at home, you don't need to have any tools or do anything. I'm kind of running the show. But if you want to do it all, you can do it all too. I do that so that if you just want to sit back and enjoy the experience without any tools, you totally can. And there's a lot of people who prefer that. You know what I mean? And I think it's beautiful. So I'm here holding the space. You don't have to worry about a thing. It's a tight container. Ooh. The dark moon window is a beautiful window, but it's an intense window. And so you always want to be doing a little extra clearing, a little extra smudging, a little extra focus, making sure that your thoughts are in alignment with your beliefs and your assumptions, right? Which is what we were talking about last night. Uh-oh, Janet spilled her perfume when she got it. Uh-oh, did you spill all of it? When that happens, I usually try to offer to refill it for you, because that's just the worst. Oh, I love that. Chicana would be beautiful. Calibrate would be beautiful. It could be, Lauren, a lot of times those headaches around the new moon, full moon, high holidays is crown chakra. Too much energy coming through the crown too fast. And so it's a good reminder just to stop, breathe. Everybody is experiencing all of this. The other reason you might have a headache is that we just closed the Lionsgate portal on August 12th, which was just a couple of days ago, right? And you could still be feeling residual effects of that. The Lionsgate, if you're not a Leo, it can be painful. I have found that Leos navigate it better, but we're used to that energy. We're used to that intense wave. We kind of live there. But if you're not a Leo, the Lionsgate can really take you out of commission for a little while. So if you get into those migraine patterns, remember to open the gate. Do you know about the gate? This is the cosmic gate. So this is a really important pressure point. You can apply oils to it first, but you really don't need to. So just pressure, take your two pincher fingers on the right hand and pinch in that little, the gate, the fold between the thumb and the forefinger, and pinch in there for 2 deep inhales and exhales. And then switch hands. Yeah. Start to just connect with your breath and really put some pressure there. I mean, I can take it, so it really does work. But this, the other thing that this gate does, and I'm working with a teacher right now who's a somatic psychotherapist, and so she's teaching me so that I can teach you how to release stored energy in your body that's resulting in pain. So I hired her specifically for that, and she's super fun. And so we were having this conversation about the gate, and she said, this is a pathway for rewiring the meridians in the body. So one of the things you can do in somatic work in order to move energy through your system is push on the gate, and then in your mind bring up a memory, a challenge, something that's bothering you, right? So something that it could be in a relationship, could be whatever it is, something that's bothering you and getting to you, and give it permission to find a new pathway to move through. You hold that space. And again, focusing on what it is that's bothering you, what's worrying you, what's concerning you, and put pressure on the gate, 2 deep inhales and exhales. And then the same thing on the other side. It gives the energy permission to move through a new portal. It helps a little bit, doesn't it? And then take a few minutes, you know what I mean? Don't keep pushing, but take a few minutes and then try it again. And again, giving energy permission to move through a new pathway. So if it's stuck in the back of your neck, or if you've got sort of a front migraine, give it a new pathway, a new direction to move through. I'm so happy. And Alexis can help you if you're wondering about tools or when to order or what the cutoff is and stuff like that. Alexis can jump in and help you there, so I can stay focused with the content. But if you guys do want tools, I want to make sure you know when to order so you don't miss them. Pretty cool, right? I'm so glad. Yeah, and she and I are doing a lot of work in preparation to help you guys through the shadow season. That's my focus with her right now, is how do we get through the shadow season in what I'm expecting is going to be one of the most tumultuous times for human beings that we've experienced in a very long time. So buckle up. I think we have some intense work ahead, and I think we're getting ready for it right now. Yeah, and you can, and a lot of it is energy responds to energy. So when you push energy through, or you dialogue with energy and give it a new direction, a new pathway, a new permission to move in a different way through your body, it responds to that. I think it's very important. So yeah, and your hands, like Janine is saying, are the focus of this month, really. So we will do the full Aztec healing ceremony next Wednesday as part of our session 4, in addition to the crafting that we're going to do. And tonight is really focusing on the journey itself. So I'm going to start by teaching, and then I'm going to rattle and drum, because what I work with her energy for, and you'll hear people pronounce her name 2 different ways, Coatlicue or Coatlicue, which is technically accurate to Nahuatl, which is the original language of the Nahua people, who were the residents of the Aztec territory before the rise of Mexico and the independence of Mexico. And Nahuatl is its own language. It's sacred, it's indigenous, it's vibrational. I've wanted to learn Nahuatl. I think I have to give up on that. There's so many languages I want to learn in my lifetime, and Nahuatl is not an easy language to learn. But a lot of the names, Coatlicue or Coatlicue, is a Nahuatl name based in the Nahua language. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight too. Yeah, drums are good. I've shared my favorite drum makers with you guys. You know, I think it is good to have some sound instruments at your fingertips. We are having more of our drums made, you know, the really nice shamanic drums that we have for you in the live gem sale. Those are being made, and we'll have more of those back too. Or you can go to some of the drum makers that are on Etsy, who are very reputable. You know, the man that I referred you to on Etsy comes from a long lineage of drum makers. And he made this one that we're working with tonight, and he hand painted the flower of life. And he does a really nice job even on the back of the drum, right? So where you hold it, you know, he does antlers and wood pieces and natural sacred materials, attaches the beautiful feathers to the inside too, and you can see right there. Isn't that gorgeous? So yeah, so you know, sometimes it's an investment, but you have to realize too, this took him 2 months to make, right? So I think it's called, Alexis, do you remember the name of the Etsy shop? Is it Sacred Drum or Shaman Drum? Can't remember, but I highly recommend him. You just have to be willing to wait. And when I order stuff like this, I always tell the artisans, like, take your time. I'm in no rush. Whenever it gets here, and then I forget about it, because otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy. These are not people who work on a deadline. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, we will get you the name of the shop, and it's nice to bless them with your business too. Although I think I don't think he's bored. He usually has a long waiting list. Oh, is it Shaman Drum? Shaman Drum. Thank you for that. Thank you. So yeah, I believe it is Shaman Drum. He also made one for Sherry, who's in our group. Beautiful, beautiful work. So, and I haven't bought a lot of drums from a lot of drum makers. I also have the beautiful lady in Israel who made me my peace drum. That's wonderful too. I haven't been able to find, you know, the man who made my Hunab Ku drum. I can't find him. I think he may have kind of went away. So, but Shaman Drum is pretty amazing, and it's around the same price, and it's the same level of craftsmanship and workmanship. So, yeah, if you're on a drum mission, I don't blame you, and I think it's a beautiful tool to have. And this kind of drum isn't something I'm going to be able to bring to you, because again, that if you want this level of drum, you want somebody who's creating something really custom, sacred for you. Oh, Sacred Drum. Okay, good. Sacred Drum, Shaman Drum, I don't know. My rain disc was a gift to me, but it's on Etsy. And then the chimes are coming to Sage Goddess. I have had those custom made, and they're beautiful. I've got the 4-element chimes coming, I think, at the end of August, I want to say, next 2 weeks or so. So if you've been waiting for a chime, that I can get to you. But the other tools, I think it's better to go with the artisans who are on Etsy, and that's all they do, so they're very, very good at it. Yeah. Okay, so let's dive right in and talk about this beautiful goddess. So, Coatlicue. Let's talk about her name and what it means. Are you ready? And if you want to start by anointing with the perfume to kind of drop in and connect with her energy, I think that's a beautiful thing to do. I chose essential oils and absolutes for Coatlicue or Coatlicue perfume that are authentic to both the place and the time. These are oils that would have been used, would have been accessible during the Aztec civilization. So everything that's in here would grow on the continent there. Isn't that beautiful? Woo. You want a bonus class where I show you sound tools? That'd be fun, wouldn't it? One of my friends, Daisy Foss, who some of you know, lives in Glastonbury, and her husband, her beloved Paul, is a musician, and he plays the hang drum. And so he is helping me get a hang drum and teach me how to play, so I can play for you, which I'm really excited about too. So that'll add another dimension to our journeys, because I'm always looking for new tools, and especially new sound tools. Okay, so if you have it, let's take a nice couple of inhales. I'll put a little bit on my wrists for what I do, a little bit at my third eye for what I know, a little bit at my ankles for where I go. Daisy's super magic, and Paul's magic too. Paul and Daisy were sitting right in this room 2 years ago. They came and stayed with me after they left the Tucson Gem Show, and they did a lot of healing work on me, a lot of healing work on Zoe. Daisy went in the closet right there and opened a portal in my Mary statue. So I was really lucky to have them here for a couple days, and they are treasures and just the best human beings. One day, before things change too much, we should have a retreat in Glastonbury and go to Daisy's center and work with her there, and then maybe make a side visit to Stone Age and see Louie, because Louie and Paul are best friends. It's a really small world. Yeah, Daisy was in this room, sitting right where I'm sitting. She laid in that bed. I was watching her work on Zoe, doing healing work on Zoe, and Zoe was like, oh, she's so nice, and I was thinking, like, you have no idea how lucky you are that you get to have Daisy Foss working on you. Okay, so in Nahua, which is the indigenous original language, pre-Mexican, pre-Spanish language, coatl means snake, C-O-A-T-L, and ique means skirt. Okay, so, and you know me, I love language, I love words, so I like to talk about the origins and roots of our language. So coatlique, it means snake skirt. She had a skirt of serpents. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of connecting the dots for you right now and see if you think this is interesting. Okay, because you know me, I love to look at all the traditions from Christianity and through the pre-Christian traditions and all the narratives and stories, and then look at the Mesoamerican, in this case, traditions and legends, and kind of see where there's some resonance there. What I have found about all of the origin stories of our planet, of different civilizations, certainly the origin story of Mesoamerica, is that they all have these common threads. They all have these common tropes, if you will, these common themes. And some will tell you, and some of what I learned that I'm teaching you tonight actually came from, I actually took college and graduate seminars in the history of Central and South America. I was working toward a Latino studies minor, and then I kind of abandoned that at a certain point because I wanted to graduate, and it was taking too much time and too many more classes, and I was on financial aid. But I did start to take some of these pre-Columbian history courses in university, and so some of what I'm teaching you today I even remember from those lectures and those dialogues. And so some of the stories, you'll hear some scholars tell you, well, they knew the story of Jesus, right? They knew the story of Mary. They knew the story of Immaculate Conception. They knew X, Y, and Z. And so that's why, they kind of repeated some of those thematics. And you can look through and see the trajectory too, right? Would you like, okay, is the mic too far away? Let me try to move it. Let me know if this helps you. And then check, check, check. Is that better? Sound better? Thank you for letting me know, especially early on. Is it better now? Can you guys tell me if that made a difference? Let me know, let me know, let me know. Can you hear me better now? Oh, okay, good. Yay! Yay! Okay, I can move it even just a little bit closer. I have a really nice microphone, so you should be able to hear me really, really well. Okay, good. Okay, good, good, good. I think it's more than just people copying stories. You know what I mean? To me, for me, and you'll have to make up your mind about what you believe. For me, I think there's something more to it than just everybody believing the same stories and retelling those stories over and over again to fit their civilization. I just don't see that happening. I can't imagine if I was, living in the Aztec Empire that I would want to inauthentically manufacture a story that was a replication of a Christian mythology. I don't know that that's what I would do. I actually really do believe that these are all the authentic origin stories, and they have these common characteristics. Okay, so what we know about Coatlicue or Coatlicue is that she experienced immaculate conception. That's one of the main themes to talk about tonight. And her story is the origin story of Mexico, which is why I'm sharing it with you tonight. She actually predicted the fall of the Aztec civilization, she herself. And it was the emperor, Montezuma, who dispatched 60 magicians to go and visit Coatlicue and talk to her and ask her, because they experienced this upheaval and these challenges within the civilization, and they dispatched a team to go and ask her what was going to happen to the Aztec people. And they reached her, and she said the Aztec civilization will fall. And that reminds me too, gives me chills a little bit, it reminds me of the oracle at Delphi and the fall of the Spartans, because remember the Pythia actually predicted the fall of Greece. And so it's interesting. You have to think of her, my goal tonight anyway, is to get you to shift your perspective about her from what people will tell you about Coatlicue, which is she's scary, she's terrifying, she's made of snakes, she wears human heads around her neck, she's awful, she's a goddess of destruction, she's, this is what you'll hear. And if you go to Mexico City and you're able to see the original statue, it's 9 feet tall, the statue that was discovered. Of course, the Spanish conquerors, the conquistadors, came through and decided that this was all super, super pagan, and they weren't going to have it, right? Because they were trying to bring Christianity to Central America, and so they decided to be done with Coatlicue and everything that looked like her, right? There is an absolute synergy between Kali and Coatlicue. It's interesting, right? So if you look at the statues, you might say, well, why is Athena focusing on this goddess for this month? I mean, she does. She looks, in the statue, she has no head. She's got 2 serpents coming up over the top of her. She's got a skull right here. And then her skirt's made out of snakes. And her necklace has a bunch of heads and human arms and limbs and stuff on it. But she is much more than just some fearsome, scary, weird snake skirt lady. She's been boiled down to that. Remember that, at least for me, the origin stories of our civilizations are not fairy tales. They're really true stories about conquest and resistance, and what happens when you have an indigenous population. And you can go and Google the statue, or we can post a picture. There's quite a few different statues of it, and there have been replicas made of it. The original statue, however, is back in La Ciudad. It's back in Mexico City, where it belongs, because that's Tenochtitlan, which is the original centerpiece or the original capital of the Aztec Empire. Did you know that Mexico City is Tenochtitlan? And that's why Mexico City is so sacred. And you can feel it. Have you been to Mexico City? I've spent time there. You can feel it. I mean, it's the absolute gravitas of knowing that you are in the center of the most original and still active part of the Aztec Empire. So these are bloody stories. They're stories of conquest and stories of violence. And so, is there that element to it as well? Yes, there is. but her story was absolutely demonized by the Spanish conquistadors who came through, because they saw it as just like pagan and, we don't want that anymore. Doesn't look like God. Let's make her into kind of a Mary figure. You know what I mean? Like Immaculate Conception. Okay, we can work with that. It's good. At least she didn't have sex, right? So this is kind of like my honey badger guide to the rise and fall of the Aztec Empire. But hopefully you can see beyond, and that's right, Carol and I are absolutely moving to Mexico one day. We've had these conversations. I'm always like, if it gets too weird here in the US, I am peace out to Mexico. But anyway, it is a magical, magical place. So what I'm telling you about tonight with Coatlicue is the origin story of the Aztec Empire, and indeed the origin story of Mexico herself, right? And so, as the legend goes, I want to walk you through the legend. She was cleaning the Serpent Mountain where she lived, and one day a feather fell. Now, it's depending on which legend you look at. Some people say it was a ball of feathers, which doesn't even make any sense. The more accurate story, at least from my perspective, is that she was cleaning the house where she was living, and it was a down feather, like from a pillow. You know how sometimes if you shake a down pillow too hard, a little feather will float out? So the legend is the feather floated down and landed on her, and poof, she was pregnant. And her children became very angry about this. Why her children were so angry that she was pregnant? In particular, her daughter was very angry that she was pregnant. And so they set out to destroy her because of that. And so the legend is that her daughter came at her and went to strike her, and when she did, she spontaneously gave birth. And there's different stories there too. Some say out of her stomach, some say out of her head. Does that remind you of anybody? Who sprung fully formed out of their parents' head after an immaculate conception? That would be Athena, right? Out of the head of Zeus. So there's part of the origin story that seems like Mary, right? There's an immaculate conception. Then there's part of the origin story that seems based in Greek mythology. Isn't this fascinating? So poof, out of her head comes her son. And her son begins to attack her daughter, his sister, okay? As an act of protecting Coatlicue from what would have been a murder of her, okay? So when her son attacked her daughter, he beheaded her and threw her head, and her head went up into the sky and became the moon. Okay, these origin stories are interesting, right? They never quite add up, but so her son was considered to be a major protector of her. So, and by the way, Quetzalcoatl, all the rest of the lineage of Mexico and in the Aztec Empire descends from her, right? Quetzalcoatl is her grandson. So her daughter's head went and became the moon, and then he murdered other of Coatlicue's children, and their limbs went off to become stars, and so this is how she became the creator of the moon and all the stars in the sky. Not a beautiful story, but a story that, is an origin story nonetheless. And so there's another legend that I'll share with you too. For what it's worth, just so you kind of hear all the different sides of it. Some people say it was a down feather because she was cleaning that fell on her and, knocked her up. And then other people say it was an obsidian knife, that someone plunged an obsidian knife into her, and then she became impregnated with fire. Now, I think that the reason, it's kind of like Osiris and Isis, I think the reason that this story kind of stuck for a little while is that her son was very much associated with Mars. He was a warrior, right? He had this Mars-like, sort of Aries-like fire energy. And so, the knife is more interesting than the feather, but because who starts cleaning and then just spontaneously gets pregnant? I mean, I have to tell you, if that actually could happen, I would never clean my house again. I am so good with no more kids that I would have to say I would permanently give up cleaning if I thought there was a risk of impregnation during the process. And honestly, that's a great excuse. You know, honey, I would love to be cleaning more, but I am terrified of becoming pregnant by it. And your partner going, what? And you're like, you need to read more of your Aztec history. It's a true story. Your shop is closed too, Vanya. Okay, so we have an immaculate conception, either from a feather or from an obsidian knife, which then leads to her giving birth to this super angry, little fiery Mars dude son, who then chops his sister's head off. Poof, we have a moon. Cuts his other siblings into bits and pieces, throws them in the sky. Now we have the stars, and then there's our origin story. Couple of interesting little tidbits here to work with. One concept, one thought, and these were just my notes, kind of my musings as I was preparing for tonight. Bigger concepts to think about in the context of our conversation. Death comes to some in order to bring life to others, right? You know, all of the cosmic origin stories, whether it's the origin story of Earth and Genesis and the Garden of Eden and, you know, Adam's rib and all of these stories, right? And then what happened to Adam and Eve's children and how that begat all of the future civilizations and the symbolism of the snake too, right? Snakes have always been associated with forbidden wisdom that maybe if you don't use it the right way or you don't know how to work with the wisdom, then it can lead you astray and get you into a lot of trouble, right? Which is why I love snakes, because I love the idea. I mean, it is interesting, and if you take that to all the way out, right, you kind of play that concept out. I do think that there are some people who even to this day think that accessing esoteric wisdom or spiritual wisdom can get you in trouble, that there's certain things that if you come to know them, certain cosmic secrets or certain, you know, wisdom that's hidden in different parts of the universe, that it can actually be too much for you. It can cause your demise. And so, but remember the snake from the Garden of Eden, right? What happens with the snake and the apple and all of that, like you get in some trouble. I also want to say this too, human sacrifice is something that we should talk about. Just because if you become a student of these ancient civilizations, you are going to see a lot of conversation about human sacrifice. And I'm not saying human sacrifice is good, so please don't, you know, misinterpret me and say, Athena said it's a great thing to sacrifice people. I think I may have been sacrificed. I had a past life regression. And it was a crazy one because I think I was pushed off a cliff into a body of water, which is why I live in a beautiful part of California. I live right near the cliffs on the coast, but you will not see me right out there all that much. It still makes me a little nervous to get too close to the edge, and I have a radical fear of water. So anyway, this was quite common. And different people would be sacrificed for different reasons, right? To bring better weather, or sometimes they would sacrifice priestesses or seers or oracles to somehow bring, you know, have the wisdom leave the individual person and come to the entire tribe, right? That's right. So human sacrifice has been a constant throughout almost every civilization up to modern times, and that goes for mostly indigenous civilizations, but it was not uncommon. So when you hear about, you know, people's hearts being taken out or their heads and hands and feet being cut off and all of those things, that did happen. Those were different times, and it was really believed that the life force was the greatest offering you could give to the gods. And again, I'm not defending it. I don't think we should start it again. I don't think it's a great thing to do. But that was a common practice, that if you gave a beating heart to the gods, that was the most powerful offering you could give. And in cases where those were given, they were given during times of extreme need and misfortune, like when civilizations were falling, and what are you going to do? The gods must be so unhappy with us, right? I mean, right? They were experiencing disease and starvation and flooding and radical loss of crops, and all kinds of things were happening, right? I think in some cases it was seen as an honor, Suzanne. I think in some cases it was resisted. And it kind of depends on the origin of the sacrifice. I'm not an expert in human sacrifice, but I've studied enough of it to be able to speak to it. So yeah, they were experiencing things kind of like what we're experiencing now, but we know better, and we don't need to sacrifice people to the gods. It's true. Yeah, so as Jenny was saying, the Vikings thought it was an honor. I think there are certain times in the Aztec cosmology where it was seen as an honor to be chosen, but then other times where it was done against the person's will, for sure. You remember that you have to think about the reason that it resonated with the Vikings, perhaps more than the Aztecs, is how you perceive death and sacrifice has everything to do with where you think you're going afterward. In the Viking cosmology, they believe in the Valkyries and in Valhalla, right? So it's sort of like, and there's different traditions have different pictures of this, but in the Viking tradition, if you die in battle or if you're sacrificed, then the Valkyries come for you right away, and you are swept off to Valhalla to live in Odin's presence, right? So that is like the ultimate. That is so much better than being alive, right? So that's what you have to remember, is each cosmology has a different picture, a different image of what they think happens after death. And if death looks better than life, then you're not that worried about being sacrificed, especially if the Viking lifespan was short, right? So if you died in battle at age 40 and you got to go to Valhalla, that's probably not a bad gig, because you probably wouldn't have lived that much longer anyway, and that way you're guaranteed that the Valkyries will take you right to Valhalla. It's interesting, isn't it? And now you see why I'm so passionate about history and about mythology and cosmology, because it's all interrelated, and everything comes down to, what do you think life's about? What's happening in this world? Is it happening because the gods are unhappy? And then is it worth it to you to be part of the solution? And what does being part of the solution actually look like, right? The other thing I made a comment about, and this is where we're going to go on our journey tonight. She is the mother goddess of the Aztec civilization, and that's not a small claim. And what she represents, right? Let me come back to that, because I want to kind of continue down this road. But cosmology for me is the study of the cosmos, the study of how we got here, and the study of how the different parts of our universe work together to create a coherent framework for understanding human existence. But I can come back and elaborate more on that in just a second. She consumes what is ready to die. And the reason I think that is so important for this exact moment, right? We are in the middle of a global pandemic, and it doesn't really matter whether you see that as a serious issue or not, because I know some people are relatively unaffected by it, whereas us in Los Angeles, it's day by day here, right? Because it's so bad in Los Angeles. But we are in the middle of a global pandemic, and experiencing these really challenging times, and we're in a new moon, right? When we have the chance to kind of like imagine a new perspective or imagine a new vision for ourselves and our world. And so I think tonight is a really good opportunity to ask yourself, what is it that needs to be composted that you can give back to Coatlicue, that you can allow her snakes to devour on your behalf? What can she help to shed for you tonight that is too much for you to carry? And so what part of that story resonates with you, and what might you be able to give to her, since we're in a releasing moon phase anyway, that isn't something that you want to carry around anymore? Does that make sense? So that's where I want your thoughts to kind of go. Well, it's not unlike the Death Eaters, or some people have that gift of being able to compost and take from us what doesn't serve us anymore. It's not work for everybody, because people who do that have to have a uniquely honed skill set not to take that stuff on or within them. Does that make sense? They have to know how not to take it into their body. So somebody who's going to compost your energy has to be very careful that they don't just take on all of a sudden all of your health problems, all of your emotional problems, all of your physical problems, because they took it from you, but now they're holding it, right? So somebody who does that has to be very good. It is buzzard medicine. That's right. They have to be very good at like taking it from you and taking it from you, and because then for them it's not work. They just have the gift of knowing how to take that energy from you and release it in a way that prevents either of you from having to carry it around. Yeah. I agree, Lola. It is a strong spiritual constitution, and it is a strong protocol for what you do with energy that you take from one place and want to release into the earth, or through a portal or whatever it is, but not holding it into your own body. It's true. And I think that's right, Hillary. I think that is sort of the core of what makes a good coach or a good teacher, is somebody who's not going to take on your stuff. They can say like, and sometimes I've done it with you guys, like, here, give it to me, I'll take it, but I'm not holding it. I'm kind of like the middleman, like on that stuff's way to leaving you, I can kind of help extract it. It's a great question too from Elisa. She asked, how does one find out if that is a gift? If you start feeling called to that, like if you feel like you want to help people in that way. Not everybody feels called to that, to be an extractor. You know what I mean? To be a compost, a living compost for that. So maybe you can. Like Donna said, she got chills when she felt into that. So and some of you probably do have that gift, whether you're conscious of it or not conscious of it. But yeah, when I take your stuff, did you see the video I posted on my personal page, by the way, about the woman who removes the hooks from the sharks' mouths? I couldn't believe that, but that is like such a beautiful example. Like she knows how to take the hook out, but she's not like sitting there putting the hook in herself. You know what I mean? Like she takes the hook out of the shark's mouth and she puts it in her hook box, and away it goes. And then the sharks go on with their life. And that's a little bit about, what we're talking about tonight, is how do you take the hook out? And she's one, in my experience, who can take the hook out. And she knows how to recognize the hooks. And so in my experience, having journeyed with her before, I also think that you can ask her to come through and move what's ready to be released too. And this is harvest medicine too, right? One of my favorite things to do around September and October here in Southern California, because I have fruit trees, is take the fruit off the tree that started to grow but didn't, and now it's kind of like almost like dried fruit. Like I've got some figs that I can tell are not going to become real figs. they're little figlets. And so, at the end of September, sometimes middle of September, depending, I will go through and pull all of those off. And that's kind of what she's able to do. She's able to go through and pull the fruit off your tree that isn't going to make it, so that you're not carrying that through. And ultimately, what I'm going to say is, what we're doing tonight is spiritual exfoliation. I think the secret to aging well is to stop carrying a bunch of shit around that doesn't need to be with you. I think you can see it in people and on people when they just won't let stuff go. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I could give you 100 examples of this right now, from my own family, from friends, from colleagues in the past, and coworkers in the past, and people who just like, you can just see it on them. They're still carrying around the anger, the bitterness, the rage. I mean, a lot of it's rage. And it's sad because the things that they are upset about still to this day shouldn't have happened to them. I mean, I'm not at all saying, you should let it go and move on and get over it. But at a certain point, if you persist in carrying that stuff around, it will weigh you down. It will weigh you down. And it doesn't affect the other person. It's not like, I've had plenty of clients tell me, you know what, Athena, I love you, but Uncle Joe did this thing, right, to me. And if I ever let that go, it means that he won't get punished. And I've had to, what I've said to people is, that is not my belief, but if that's how you feel and you really want to carry it, there's nothing I can do. But I promise you that you not forgiving him is not going to guarantee that he goes to hell, or whatever, whatever you whatever you think. In my understanding, that is not the case, right? In my experience, people who harm other people, there's a process for that. Karma comes through, all kinds of things happen. It's not something that you personally have to fight that fight. But I have had dozens, if not hundreds of people tell me that. I would love to be able to forgive, but if I do that, it means he got away with it. And I just can't let him get away with it, right? So, and ultimately what that does is that finds a home in you, right? That little bit of like, I'm not going to let this go because you're going to pay kind of thing. It finds a home in your heart. It finds a home in your sciatic. It finds a home in the back of your neck. It finds a home in your uterus, right? I mean, it just finds a home somewhere. So I want to prepare us for tonight's journey by saying, if there is something that you're ready to really let go of, and it could be anything, right? It could be anger, it could be grief, it could be trauma, it could be, what is it for you? I don't know. It could be sorrow, it could be disappointment, it could be betrayal, If you're really ready to let it go, that's good fodder for tonight. If you don't feel ready to let it go, then don't let it go yet. Maybe that's still a fruit that's growing on your tree, and there's some reason it's still there, right? Yeah, and to Lauren's point, like, she can see it in her partner, how he still holds on, right? I'm just reading your comments really quickly. Yeah, it keeps it alive for you and not for them. Terry's asking, does that mean you still can't get upset or sad when something bad happens? No, it doesn't mean you're not going to have a reaction to things, and it doesn't mean you're not going to have emotions. What I'm talking about kind of specifically with this, Terry, is something that happened 20 or 30 or 50 years ago where you are still harboring a lot of really raw emotions around it and feeling like there's a reason why you just don't want to let that go. Either because you feel that that's how you're going to ultimately punish the other person. But most people have learned the lesson at some point along the way that at some point it serves you to not hold on to rage, anger, all of those feelings attached to another person. Because it doesn't really result in them getting a punishment, even if that's your goal. And it ultimately, it can really have a detrimental effect on your own body and spirit. And it has to be a choice. It has to be a choice, and you have to be ready for it. So think for just a moment here. Is there something that you can let go of that feels ready? It's fruit that's ready to fall off the tree anyway. I'm not asking you to go and pick a big ripe piece of fruit off the tree where you have to really pull it. It's probably not ready to go. But something that you can feel that's lodged in your body a little bit, where you're like, oh, if I could just release that, I would feel 1,000 pounds lighter, right? If I could just let that go, I would feel so much better. And so I've been working on something myself that I'm going to be releasing tonight, because I've been doing a lot of really important work around healing the energy of it on the conscious level. And then what I want to do tonight with you guys, because I'm going to be journeying with you, is releasing more of the subconscious side of it. And it's taken me a while to get to the point where it's like, I really am ready to let it go. And here's the real gift in all of this, right? The gift in it is when you let it go, and I'm a visual learner, so I'll give you kind of a visual thing to hang on to. When you let it go, it's like a kite that you've been holding on to, or a balloon, and when you let it go, it's like it floats away. It's like you can literally almost watch it, ooh, and it takes with it all of the other stuff, because mine is bullying that I went through as a child. I've shared a little bit about that, right? I was terribly bullied in middle school, almost suicidal over it, and it was awful. And nobody in my life, adult-wise, did what they needed to do, so I felt very unsafe and very unsupported. So what I've had to do not only is forgive the person who did the bullying, or try to get through a place where I can release that, but also release a lot of anger toward my parents and toward other adult figures in my life who really didn't do anything to address it, because everybody wanted to let's not talk about that, right? So now that might seem like a small example to you, right? But to me, it really wasn't small. To me, it really defined a lot of things in my life, and ultimately, I think created a breeding ground for me to feel victimized in other situations too. And I've had to spend a lot of my adult life reclaiming my power, right? Oh, thanks, you guys. But you guys have been through that and probably other things that are just as bad or worse, right? So, but all it takes is one situation like that. And again, mine was on the Richter scale of being very bad bullying. And I really do want to release it kind of once and for all. And I'm ready to do that tonight. So that's what I'm releasing. That's what I'm putting into the cauldron. And I share that with you just so that you, and it could be where some of my autoimmune stuff comes up for sure. Trust me when I tell you that emotional stuff takes up residence in the body and results in physical symptoms. That I will tell you is true. You can ask any allopathic doctor. You can ask any non-traditional, doctors. You can ask therapists, especially somatic therapists would tell you anything, any deep emotional wounding left over time will take up a physical residence in your body and will show up in the form of pain, illness, or disease. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. And so again, as you start to look at people in your life as they get older, I think the people who seem a little more effervescent, able to go with the flow, aging gracefully, in good health, I think those are people who kind of have learned how to let go of what they don't need to hold on to anymore, and with sincerity, right? With sincerity, because you have to be ready to let it go. For a long time, I didn't want to let it go, because again, I thought if I let that go, then she got away with it. And it's like, no, I'm sure she didn't get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gets away with that. Does that help? I don't know if it helps sometimes for me to share my personal examples, or if it's better for me not to, but I do like to create some intimacy with you guys, just so that you know that I also struggle with my own stuff. And I do the work right alongside you. And even though I've been on this path for a long time, it doesn't mean that I've got it all figured out. I'm still working, I'm still struggling, I'm still trying to embody, what I do and what I teach, and be in alignment and all of that. So if you've really struggled with forgiveness, with pain, with trauma, with fear, with suicidal ideation, with all of those things, like I am someone who can have genuine empathy for you, because I really have been there in my own way. So yeah, I mean, we won't go into the specific details, but it was terrible. It was real bad. So I see you. I may not be living the same example you are, but I see you in whatever pain that you're experiencing too. Okay, so what else did I want to tell you here? I think that's it. There's so much I want to teach you about Aztec cosmology, and I just it's always like a lack of time. Ometeotl is the god, like the primary god in the Aztec cosmology, and Ometeotl had 2 children, actually 4 children, but Ometeotl was both masculine and feminine. So the Aztec god, the primary Aztec god, the god, the origin god, was male and female, had that duality, then had 4 children, and the 4 children were earth, air, fire, and water. So Ometeotl actually gave birth to the 4 elements, and then from the 4 elements came the gods and goddesses of the Aztec pantheon. They were all born of fire and earth and water and air. Isn't that cool? So, oh, I see you guys. I see your comments too. I really, really do. I'm so grateful to have you here. And it's a beautiful thing, because here's the thing, we are all healing. I mean, we're all healing. And what this reminds you too what this reminds you too is everybody around you has a story. Everybody around you has experienced trauma. Everybody around you has been wounded, right? They may not admit it to you. We admit it to each other because we're in a sacred space and we're in a tight container. And so here it's safe to say, wow, I'm really struggling, or I don't know if I can do this, or I feel like I'm at the end of my rope and stuff. But most people you meet day to day are not going to be as candid with you. So our container teaches you to go out in the world with a lot more compassion, I think. Because everybody you know has a story. Everybody's healing from something. Everybody has had moments of feeling violated or betrayed or just hurt on a really deep soul level. And the best news is it's never too late. You can always heal. And it is absolutely possible to get to a healed space in this lifetime from anything that has happened to you. That I know and believe for sure. I really, really do. And a deep breath there. And the good news, I mean, at least from my perspective, is the one promise I can make you is you will never say anything to me where I go, ooh, wow. Just because I've heard a lot. You are rarely going to shock me, surprise me, freak me out, upset me. It kind of can't happen. I've kind of been around the block and I've seen a lot. So whatever it is, you can bring it and sit it down, and you don't have to be worried where I'm like, you're the first person that's ever told me that. It's like, it's probably not going to happen, right? Yeah, see, Catherine says she's a trauma therapist, right? It's powerful stuff. And there's so many different ways in, right, Catherine? Like, you can talk your way in. You can, work with different plants and different medicines and different medicinal therapies to get in. You can, really do some physical work to get into the work. Of course, there's all these shamanic modalities and sound healing, and there's a million ways in. And so what works for you may not work for somebody else, and that's why I try to give you a lot of different tools and suggestions and modalities to work with, because everybody's got a different, here's where we need to go, but how we get there, there's a 1,000 different ways, right? So however you get in is how you get in. The key is you got to get in. That's right. Expressive arts is another beautiful place or way to get in. And ritual and ceremony, of course, is one of my favorite ways to get in. No doubt about it. I see you, Debbie. Right? And sexual abuse in early childhood is really one of the most challenging. And again, that hasn't been my lived experience, but it's been the lived experience of lots of people close to me. And so I don't have direct experience, but I have indirect experience. And I can say that is one of the tougher hills to climb, for sure. And bullying is too, I think, to a certain extent, because what bullying leads to is you looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life and not trusting people. And so it leads to just everybody being a potential threat. And when you live like that, it's sort of living in fight or flight, and it prevents you from having deep intimacy in relationships too. So you ready to get in? Let's go in together. I think it would be great. Yeah, well, forgiveness does look like weakness sometimes to people. It really, really does. When you forgive people, my mom used to say, "You're so forgiving, Athena. I don't understand. People will hurt you and say mean things to you, and you just turn around and, it's like everything's okay." And I used to say, like, isn't that what Jesus did? My mom was a Christian, right? I'm like, but that's what Jesus did, right? Aren't we supposed to be kind of Jesus-y? Am I supposed to hold a grudge? I think I'm supposed to forgive people, right? So, if forgiveness is weak, then I am a very weak person. But I'm also a pretty happy person, and a person who's on a healing path. So I think there are worse things than being Jesus-y. So we're going to start by rattling. If you have a rattle, you can rattle with me. And I like to rattle in the cross just to cover the vertical plane and the horizontal plane. And I go top to bottom, left to right. And I like to really connect with my breath while I'm rattling. So we're going to start here, and then I'm going to open our circle. But I want to clear out the energy of the day. I'm going to clear you. I'm doing my left to right, which will probably look, let me try it the other way so it looks left to right to you. And really commit to shaking off kind of like you're in the shower and you're scrubbing off. This is, like I said, tonight we're exfoliating. And it's the secret. It's the secret to almost everything. If you have pain, get your rattle in there. Doesn't that feel good? Yeah, you have to dry brush. If I moved in with you and I took over your house, I'd make you dry brush every day. I just dry brushed last night. My skin feels really soft. It's important. Okay, now let us open our circle. You take a nice deep breath. It feels really good when somebody else dry brushes you. It really does. I'm a little too aggressive with it. It just feels so good. When I'm done, I am bright red. Like last night, Dave was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I exfoliated." I just want you to roll your shoulders back, bring your energy into present time. That's right. Get a bottle of Tylenol or your vitamins or whatever. Shake what your mama gave you or what your medicine jar gave you. Let's bring our energy into present time. I want to begin by inviting in our spirit guides, ascended masters, light beings from all dimensions in service to our higher purpose today, releasing energy that isn't serving us anymore. And then we want to welcome in the guides and the guardians of the sacred directions and gateways. And you can invite in whoever you want. If you have ancestors, who are connected to this, whatever it is, you can invite their essence in if they feel like good, healed allies for this work. Tamborine's great for a rattle, by the way. Never underestimate the power of a good tambourine. And so we invite in all energies from all directions that are healed and in divine alignment with our purpose for gathering today. I want to begin by welcoming in the guides and the guardians of the East, direction of East, element of air. We welcome you in today to blow the breath of life across this space, across our circle, across our journey experience together tonight. Asking you to bless our mind, bless our thoughts, help to release some of the racing energies, cyclical thoughts we might be having to give us clarity of focus and purpose this evening. We welcome you in with gratitude. To the guides and guardians of the South, fire gateway, energies of transformation, shape-shifting, change, courage, stamina, strength, empowerment. In the South is where we do this work primarily, of letting go of layers of time and energy that are ready to be exfoliated, ready to be lifted, ready to be released and surrendered. We give thanks and welcome you into the ceremony space. And to the guides and the guardians of the West, we welcome you in tonight for some emotional renewal, cleansing and healing, energies of the Mother as we work with Coatlicue and her beautiful essence, energies of mothering across space and time. Inviting you in, Guardians of the West, to hold us, to nurture us, to support us this evening. We welcome you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the North, Earth Gateway, grounding, stabilizing energies in the North, we welcome you in to anchor us, tether us to this planet, keep us connected to each other, help us to align to energy streams of protection, peace, patience, and purpose. We welcome you in with gratitude. To the guides and the guardians of the upper realms, the Akashic Gateway, the Hall of Records, the angelic gateways that lead us into the dimensions 6 and above, our passageway back to where we came. We welcome you in with gratitude this evening. To the guides and the guardians of the middle world, the here now moment, our current community, all of my brothers and sisters, everyone who's here now and will watch later, we give thanks and welcome the guides of the middle world into our ceremony space with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the lower world, mineral kingdom, bone kingdom, planetary grid and matrix, essence of light within the earth, the core of the planet, we give thanks to you tonight as you prepare to receive what we can no longer carry and transmute it on our behalf, transforming our energetic waste into usable white light that can be dispersed across this planet to those who need it. We give thanks and welcome you into the ceremony space as well. And with that, we are prepared. I love that Katie started her cycle today. That's divine timing. Really, because your body's releasing too. I feel like a lucky girl when I get to drum 2 nights in a row. I really do. It's like, woo! It's my favorite thing to do. So, we want to welcome in energies, the beautiful guides and guardians from the Aztec pantheon. Any of the gods, goddesses, guides, and guardians who feel aligned and connected to the work this evening, we want to give thanks in advance to our Aztec cosmic mother goddess, Coatlicue, in advance for helping us release what's too heavy, what's ready to die, what's ready to be returned to the earth as a source of sustenance for her and a source of grand release and healing for us. Woo! And start to feel the room fill up a little bit with all those beautiful energies coming to surround you, to connect with you, to be present with you in this moment. Super good. And to Mexico we go. So we're going to take it nice and easy tonight. And we're going to go step by step through your body tonight. She's a very physical goddess. So if you're open to it, I think it'd be really beautiful to ask your guides and guardians to support a body scan for you. And we're going to release energy step by step. You can sit if you'd like. If it's more comfortable, you can lay down. Put a pillow or a blanket under your knees to support your lower back. If you're feeling the energy, it's good, let it go. You know, your tears are purifying, right? Did you know that the tears that you release, that you cry during ceremony, have an entirely different makeup, an entirely different pH than the tears you shed when you're sad? So release and let the saline of your tears purify your skin. Give yourself a chance to let stuff go. It's so important. And you're safe here. You're in a tight container. I'm holding the space. We're holding the space together. There's no better time. You can stand up if you want. That feels good. So it's normal to yawn. It's normal to cry. It's normal to shake. It's normal to feel hot or cold. It's normal for your hands and your feet to get kind of tingly. Top of your head get buzzy. It's normal to get very tired. It's okay. It's okay to fall asleep. You don't have to be awake for this. I'll be awake. We're going to begin with your feet, your sweet feet tonight. Those feet, those toes, walked this beautiful earth for how many years? Those are your connections to this planet, to that Earth Star chakra. Your feet have their own chakras. Take notice of your feet right now. How do they feel? Do you have any discomfort, tightness? So energies that might be sitting in your feet energies of tension, energies of wanting to run away, energies of wanting to explore. Are they cold? Are they warm? Just noticing, letting it be. You can flex your foot, curl your toes a little bit. Just bring your energy and your focus there. Coatlicue, we give you permission tonight to release from our feet any stored tension or energy there, old energies, old wounding that's ready to go, giving you permission to take the fruit that's ready to be plucked. Feel the tension in your feet begin to dissipate. Do you notice the softening? Mine instantly softened. Relaxing your ankles, relaxing your toes, softening the top of your foot. To your ankles, your calves, beginning to notice the energy there. We're starting off easy. Stored energy there that's ready to be released. Sometimes stress and anger and tension will sit in those calves and the shins, and so it's it's good just to give them permission to relax and soften. If you want to use your hands, you can do a little light massage work in the areas that I'm bringing your attention to. Remember how healing your hands are as sacred tools. And see if you're guided, to touch or to massage in a certain place. See if you can track the energy. And then noticing if there's a softening there. To your knees, your thighs and your hips. Think about how you sit. How often you are connecting to the earth, furniture, to your home or your sacred space. And a nice way to do this, if you know how to do a Kegel, if you have female anatomy and you want to do a nice Kegel there, you can do a Kegel and then hold it and then relax. Notice when you release the Kegel, how you drop even further into the floor, right? It's a really powerful way to release stored energy. Bringing your attention to the ovaries, the testes. Right here in the root chakra and the sacral chakra right now. This is a big one for a lot of us. You ready? What gets stored here? Fear, rejection, loss, loss of passion. This is our center of procreation, but some of you have struggled with the loss of a child, right? Abortion sits here, miscarriage sits here. And again, only releasing what's ready to go. Letting the fruit fall that was ready to fall anyway. Feeling safe here. So Coatlicue. And give you permission here to help us release at the root and the sacral chakras what's ready to go. What we've been holding on to for too long. Feel how your hips are softening, opening. It feels good to roll back into that. Or roll forward into that, and then back again. Using your hands if it feels good to massage. If the Kegel exercise felt good, try another Kegel. Hold it and release. Dropping that pelvic floor. Do you feel how it gets more open, also the reason it's one of the hardest places to lose weight is around the midsection and the hips. Because those are the 3 chakras that take the hit. They are the ones that take the hit. So open, open, open. Give your hips permission to open wide. Soften into that floor. Pelvic floor is relaxing. Relaxing the muscles of the stomach. Relaxing the large intestine, the small intestine. This is the other big one for a lot of us. A lot of empaths have IBS. And it's because we hold it in the gut. So let's move up to that solar plexus. Sending big love now to the intestinal system. Bringing your attention to your liver, your kidneys. That's your body's detoxifying system, right? Soften that belly. If you're holding it in, let it go. Pretend like you're trying to give that intestine as much space as you can to stretch and relax. Nourishing those kidneys. Energetic massage for that liver. So what gets stored here? I love it, Bonnie. What gets stored here is you're not good enough. You're not this enough, you're not that enough. If you were just more like that. All that stuff. Those stories. But you are enough. You are worthy. So Coatlicue, we give you permission tonight to release us from all of the narratives of not enough. Across lifetimes, across timelines. Feel all those internal organs just rejoicing to have your approval, your support. You're not fighting them right now. You're saying, take up your space. And you're taking out some of the energetic toxins that they're having to filter for you all the time. Feel your whole lower body now, softening, opening. Release, release, release. Anything that was keeping you from your sovereignty. And in this moment, sitting in that sacred reminder that as you are right now is all you need to be for anyone in your life at any time. There's nothing to fix, nothing to change. You are perfect as you are, more than enough. You're a gift to this world, to this planet, to me, to your community, to your family. heart it's safe right now to be open and stay open. Nothing's going to hurt it right now. This is a beautiful, sacred space. Nothing to fear. Even if you're not conscious of it sometimes, subconsciously, your heart's like, I don't know. Especially if you've been through trauma. So it's nice to just reparent a little bit, reassure your heart, you're safe, you're held, nothing to fear here. In fact, there's only healing here. So let's talk about what gets stored here, okay? In the lungs, in the heart. What happens when you get stressed? What happens when you get shocked? You stop breathing. Okay. Shock is stored here. Fear, heartbreak, rejection, overwhelm, fight or flight, stored here. Past lives, depending on the cause of death, you are asphyxiated. That can bring up all kinds of issues here. So softening, relaxing, opening the lungs, softening, massaging the heart space, letting the sound dance through your lungs, through your heart. That's right. There's a lot of subconscious fear around the lungs because of COVID right now. Gotta release that. It's in the field. So again, reminding your lungs you are healthy, you are safe, you are well. Reminding your heart, safe to heal, you're protected. Keep beating. Give thanks for that heartbeat. As we track toward the back, let's go to the spinal cord. A lot of us have nerve issues. Let's track that spinal cord from our tailbone up to the base of the skull. Go out the way, we give you permission to come through and release anything from the central nervous system that isn't in alignment with our path and purpose. What gets stored here? Everything we've been talking about. Fear, shame. Fear gets trapped in the central column. Physical abuse can sometimes get trapped in the central column. Could be, Lauren. Wouldn't doubt it. So we're giving her permission tonight to release what's stored for you and what might have been stored for someone you love. A lot of times we're not just holding our own stuff, right? Especially as parents, as partners, it's hard not to. Even when we know better, right? Releasing, releasing, releasing through the central column. Healing each disc one Stop yelling. Your voice. Your thyroid has everything to do with this. So if you have any thyroid conditions, I've had them. At a time in my life when my throat chakra was blocked. So Coatlicue would give you permission to release the throat. Any energies that might be stored here that aren't in service to our highest good. So good, Tanya. I see you, Bonnie. Coming up over the face, relaxing your jaw. Feels good, doesn't it? Relax your mouth, your teeth, your tongue. Soften your eyes, temples and forehead. Bringing your attention to the space between your eyebrows, your third eye, the pineal gland. What gets stored here? Past life, all the things that your soul has seen and done. And past life wisdom and knowing, and all of that is stored there. Let's clear the screen, relax, soften those eyebrows. And bringing your attention to the top of your head. Crown chakra. Bringing your attention also to your brain. What gets stored here? Any challenges to your intellect, to your faith? Persecution for your faith in another lifetime could be stored here. Feeling judged for what you believe gets stored here. Overthinking, that's right. Monkey mind, racing thoughts, the old tapes you keep playing. If you're ready to release those, Coatlicue would give you permission to come in. Release any energy that's stored here that isn't serving our higher purpose. Now let's travel down, back down, over your ears, sides of your neck, over your shoulders, roll your shoulders back. Again, just softening, relaxing, allowing energy to flow through. Anything stored in the ears, the shoulders, the muscles of the arms, elbows, tendons, the wrists, the fingers. Any tension. Do you feel it lifting? Relax the muscles of your shoulders, upper back, muscles of your forearm, softening your fingers, your cute little fingers, releasing anything that's trapped here, stored here. Coatlicue would give you permission to move the energy. Anything that isn't serving our highest good. And if there's an area you want to revisit, let's go there now. Any residual energy you want to move. crystals if you want. Try using your hands as your breath. We're focusing on the hands this month, so. It's amazing how fast it moves, isn't it? And I've had like 2 or 3 big releases just during this time with you. Feels good. Just releasing, 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 releasing. All it needs is permission and a pathway. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. And exhale. It's yummy, isn't it? Oh, I love that so much. Wiggle, 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 fingers and toes. Move your head from side to side. Stretch if it feels good. Move your hips around. Did you feel that opening when we were really working with the hips? That's where I had a really big release. And it's crazy because even for me, I could feel my hips opening and dropping and opening and dropping and opening and dropping. I was like, my hips are going to melt into the floor. Lauren's headache is gone. I love that. Ooh. And just let that energy move and flow. Give it, again, permission and a pathway, just letting it, showing it where to move out. And the tummy was good too, right? Did you feel your intestines? Especially, I feel like so many of us, like, I think because we're constantly kind of trained to like hold in our stomach, that when we just like really relax and like let the intestine be, it is such a sigh of relief for your entire energy system. Does your spine feel good too? And like visualizing your spinal fluid, right? Like the healing traveling through the fluid and nourishing each one of those discs is so important. Yeah. And it would be great to follow this up with some really gentle yoga. You know, if you have an online yoga that you love to do, or if you're a yoga teacher, you could lead yourself just through just a really simple flow, but something to keep the energy moving after this. And it would be really good also to either go for a walk or and drink lots and lots of water and tea tonight, because that will also help to, we've moved a lot, right? And burping, farting, all of that is important because it's your body's trying to move the energy, and so, you know, let yourself have your functions. Sometimes you might find you have to go to the bathroom right after we do something like this. Heidi said she threw up, but that, I mean, again, that's not unnormal, you know, not at all. And some people have like a loose stool afterward too, because again, you're like moving a lot of energy through it. They're all shades of normal, right? Oh, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, if you gotta fart, you gotta fart. I don't feel like I have to fart right now. Not in this exact moment. I love that. Jenny says, my dog tripped out. He laid on her and gave her a facial. Yep. You know, all the things. That's right. So, let's take a moment just to be in a place of gratitude, because this work is profoundly real. I I really, when I tell you that I believe the work that we do, this kind of work, which is again, it's somatic energy work, that it has a lasting impact on your body, and your body can record a memory of what this state feels like, so that when you find yourself clenching back up and sucking in and tightening up and all of that, you can remind yourself, like, okay, now we have to get back here. And you can do that through scent association. So if you worked with a perfume tonight, it takes 7 times in a row smelling a scent to develop a scent association through your olfactory system. Did you know that? So take 7 quick inhales. So with 7 inhales, you'll now have an olfactory touch point, so that when you smell that again, your body will go, oh, and drop back into that state of deeper relaxation. And you can. And the nice thing is all these classes are recorded and you have lifetime access to it. So anytime you want to do this, or let's say you have a friend who's really struggling and your friend comes over, you can be like, you know what, let's turn it on. I think you might enjoy this. It only takes half an hour, right? And it really can, again, soften, relax everything. Taking a nice warm bath would be really good for you tonight too, with some Epsom salt to get some magnesium going. So whatever you were burning or smelling or whatever, smell it 7 times, 7 discrete times, which again creates within your brain, it creates a touch point. It creates a somatic association, a scent association, so that your body then records a memory and it associates the memory with the scent. So it begins to lock it in. Get the burping out. Woo! It was good for me too. I'm going to do it right alongside you. This is my work too. So how to say thank you and let them go. I hope you do. I hope you sleep like a baby tonight, Vanya. I really do. Do you? You always know I'm either starting or I'm stopping when I point that wand at you. It's good stuff. And it's my pleasure to move this energy with you in this way. So we want to begin where we ended. So we'll release first the guides and the guardians of the lower world, guides and guardians of the bone kingdom, mineral kingdom, planetary matrix. Whew. All that's beneath our feet, the molten core of this planet, and all of the history that exists still buried after eons and generations. We give thanks to you for connecting us with the earth this evening, helping to take from us what we can't hold, allowing us to compost it through all of your sacred channels. We give thanks and release the guides and the guardians of the lower world with gratitude. And guides and guardians of the middle world, we give thanks for our community, everyone who's here and present, everyone who will watch later. We give thanks for this planet, in this here and now moment, all of the realities of our daily lives. We ask that you bless us and that you bless our loved ones, our extended communities, friends and family. Keep us all safe, healthy, and well. We release you from the ceremony space with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the upper world, the Cosmic Library, Akashic Gateway, Angelic Realms, we give thanks for your presence tonight. We ask that you continue to bless us from where you are, keep us connected to a deeper source and sense of wisdom and discernment. And we give thanks to you, release you with gratitude from the ceremony space. And the guides and guardians of the north, we thank you for keeping us safe, protected, comforted through this process, helping us to stay grounded, to remember the essence of this work and carry it back with us into our daily lives. We give thanks for your steadiness, your mentoring, your nurturing, your love, and we release you with gratitude. To the guides and the guardians of the west, to Mama Coatlicue tonight for taking from us what we can't carry as mothers do, Thank you for helping to shoulder our burdens so that we know that we're not alone. Thank you for walking alongside us and loving us unconditionally. Thank you for helping us to heal old wounds tonight. We give thanks and release you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the South, we thank you for the courage it took to do this work, to move through the uncomfortable moments of it in order to experience a deeper release. We thank you for the strength and transformation energies that this journey has brought. And we release you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the East, thank you, thank you, thank you for breathing new life into us, into this circle, helping us to see our lives through a new perspective, helping to give us hope, courage, optimism, helping us to focus on what matters, learning where to give our attention, learning to find mental peace and a sense of inner calm. And we give thanks and we release you from this ceremony space with gratitude. Woo! I might go take a nap. I'm a little tired. I feel energized and exhausted all at once. I'm like yawning and stretching, but I'm also like, feel like I could go for a walk right now. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank you for showing up and doing this work in a really brave way. I want to thank our spirit guides for being with us tonight. We release you with gratitude. I want to thank Coatlicue for being such a beautiful guardian of the space. We release her. I can feel her travel south from me. So, so, so beautiful. I am gonna rest well tonight and probably not be online a whole bunch tomorrow. I did a lot today. But I have to tell you, what's really funny is, and I think this is true of work that we do that we love, because I feel more energized after doing readings and ceremony with you guys than I felt before it. Truthfully, I feel more energized now than I felt at 12 noon today. So I think it's really true that when you are doing work that energizes you, that is in support of your healing, I think there is just a constant well and source of energy and support that comes. Versus when you're doing things that drain you, you know what I mean, that feel like they're depleting you or that take energy from you. So it is. I really feel very blessed to do work in the world that honestly brings me a deep sense, not only of satisfaction, but also of energy and healing too. So, so if you feel a little bit ungrounded, I do. So here's one thing that I do that might help you. Sorry for getting up in your face. Is rub your hands together. Woo. Rub your hands together kind of vigorously. And then palms down to the floor, and arch your back and shake your booty. Feels really good. You can kind of like move your hips from side to side, like really give yourself a full release there. I got right up on you there for a minute. Do you feel it? Nice stretch in your back. You can I take my little toes and kind of cross them. And then on the other side, you can really feel that stretch through the side and through your back. It's good stuff, isn't it? Okay. Enjoy your evening. Thank you, Alexis, who worked an hour and 15 minutes over her time because of our different schedule today. So thank you for being here too. And I will look forward to seeing you guys soon. I'm going to pick up Ovid, if you don't mind, this weekend. I would like to read to you. We haven't done that in a couple weeks. I don't know which day yet because I don't know what our weekend situation is like yet. So I'll keep you updated. And so we'll do a little reading together. And then we have lots to look forward to next week. We have a packed schedule once again. So stay tuned for some Ovid this weekend and maybe just a little bit of hangout time. And I'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. Thank you for being there today.